Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Kaylani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. Welcome back to Delightfully Dysfunctional. I'm Kaylani, and this is James. Oh my gosh, you're making like the gooberiest face. Gooberiest, that must be a word.
Gooberiest.
Most goobery, that's your award.
When you were clearing your throat, it was like superhero theme songs. Oh, let me turn this heater
Oh, we
up.
got a little heater. It's cold over here in Washington.
Okay,
All right.
back.
There we go. There we go. Settle in. Settle in. Wait, what were you saying?
Yo, that's all. That was it.
Oh.
You're clearing your throat sound. It sounded like superhero. You went, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, I like to add a theatrical element.
That's Superman.
What's funny is that I must do this when I'm alone too, but like little like silly mannerisms like that, because then I see Priya mimicking them.
Oh,
And doing like I don't know, just weird little sounds that I must make when I'm like doo 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 and like
one time I was
I have
playing.
sound effects.
One time I was playing music for my daughter like years ago, and I kept every time I'd mess up, I go, "Oh, I'm terrible," and then so she pretended to grab a guitar and she kept going, "Oh, terrible."
Oh no, like that was her song.
Yeah, she
her
kept saying,
anthem.
she kept going, "Oh, I'm terrible," and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good to model."
Well, then it just sounds like you realize that, but it is still funny. Like little kids when they're saying silly things. Yes. Yeah. Today the topic is something that I'm just like personally experiencing and feeling, and I think you might be as well. It's a topic that I also kind of have been weaving into a lot of conversations, but it's burnout, but kind of a leaning towards our like cultures. There's a cultural burnout.
Okay.
There are some things that are just so unhealthy about our culture right now, creating some circumstances around burnout, and I want to talk about that.
Okay.
And especially something I know that everyone is feeling. You and I have talked a little bit about it, or like just the felt sense, but just to get some actual numbers and data.
Yeah.
Right now, groceries are up 25% since January 2020. And that's
Dang.
the same with electricity, car prices, auto insurance, and rent is all up like anywhere from 20 to 35%. And I feel like we are all feeling it. And there is a stress that feels is sensed, because I see a lot of people trying to work harder, hustle more, and yet we're already in this toxic hustle culture. Is there more that you can actually hustle out there?
Right.
And what are we really here on this earth to do? And what does it mean to maybe even contemplate a more simple lifestyle, a shift in what you thought you needed?
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I mean, I was just saying that the chips are stacked against us in a lot of ways.
It's a tough time.
Yeah, so I imagine I definitely absolutely feel burned out, and they're, just having to really fine tune my mindset just so I stay sane and joyful. But yeah, circumstances are super challenging right now, and I know that a lot of people. I mean, on the one hand, it's comforting that there's a lot of people out there that are feeling the same.
That we're not alone.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like what a shit show, that everyone is just feeling this strain. Like, we're gonna look back on this season as a country and be like, that was terrible. That was terrible.
Topo. Yeah, I think that this is a really tough time, and not just as a country, but the world is feeling that strain as well.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like our real lives, I don't know, for me, that can drain the energy, if I'm having to spend time thinking about the budget, or thinking about needing to work more, or even in my line of work, honestly, when society is feeling added pressure and more burnout, then that means that's also what's coming in through the clients in my office. And that can feel really heavy if I don't have my own self-care practices in place.
Yeah.
So I think that everybody is just noticing this, and I mean, has been noticing it, but just recently I think that it's hitting this point of like, oh, we can't be under this constant amount of added stress. Short-term added stress, yeah, and stress is just a part of our normal life. We do have to get used to that. But like exactly what you're saying, like things feel like they're piling up.
Yeah. But I mean, hopefully, here's the thing is though, I have this weird relationship with hope, because for the last couple of years, like, you know, things would just remain crappy, and then so whenever I hope, and then like the thing I got my hopes up for doesn't come, it's just like another heartbreak all over again. So I'm always like, oh, I have to like be cautiously hope, but then at the same time I'm like, you know, it's better to live and exist with that hope every day, even though you're kind of gambling with your feelings. But I'd rather exist with hope than to just always overthink and have anxiety, like trying to predict the future. So it's like if the bad stuff comes, I'll deal with it. If I'm right with my hope, awesome. But the whole time I'm just gonna like hope for the best, you know, not even prepare for the worst. I'm just gonna hope.
Oh, I love that. I think that takes like a rebellious heart. Like, I'm just going to hope. I'm just going to keep doing that. Yeah. I think the thing that I've noticed in myself is that I need to be hoping and working towards something that like energetically feels right to me. So I'm currently in a space of feeling some burnout, just, you know, navigating the podcast and the time that it takes is a learning curve and an experiment as we grow it and as we think through new creative ideas. And then I've added a ketamine-assisted psychotherapy to my practice, and that kind of takes an extra day in the week. So I'm in this phase of really like navigating my schedule and realizing what I'm needing to take care of me, and maybe recognizing that for a long time I've been a lot better about taking care of other people than myself. And usually I can have those good routines, but it's just been a little bit busier the last couple months, and I'm ready to like downshift.
Yeah. So
it's been like, I've had to honestly work through some feelings, because there's a part of me that does like to work and likes that hustle pace and likes big goals.
Yeah.
And I almost have to tame it down, because there also needs to be some like peace in the land and balance.
Right.
So for me, it's been a kind of a deep inventory right now in what is it that I really want to cultivate and have. And it's not hustle. So why should I hustle if that's not what I'm wanting to cultivate?
Yeah.
I think about what is the feeling that I'd like to have. I'd like to have more connection with people, and that's why doing this podcast feels good. I'd like to have more creativity. I don't feel like I currently have like the time for creative ideas that I really like and I think are fun. And I want like more of a slower pace to like catch up on things, or to have time with friends, to have like those self-care things, and like taking care of your body and getting exercise. And in the current climate of being like a working parent, it's hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a big rambling tangent, but that's why this topic came up for me today, is that I'm like, you know, I'm feeling this right now, and I wonder if other people are too.
Yeah.
And maybe just sharing a few strategies that I've found to help navigate this phase.
Yeah. Well, I think I've diagnosed you with what you need to do.
Oh, gosh.
You need to be a professional YouTuber and podcaster. So please like, subscribe, and follow us on all our platforms.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, that was a good segue. That was funny. I mean, it provides an opportunity to have impact. It is never anything that I thought I would be doing in a million years, to be honest. But like lately, if I boil down what I'm wanting, like I'm wanting to have and a positive impact on people. So if this is a voice and a message that resonates for you as part of our delightfully dysfunctional family, our curious culture, the mental health topics, or sometimes the radical ideas that we share, then, I'm so excited to embrace you and join you in this. Like, I don't know, to me, it's just an exploration of the human emotion and how we can be better humans.
Totally.
I don't know, for you in this phase of burnout, what are you learning as you grow? So part of it is like continuing to have hope and like picturing the future. I guess part of my messaging is I've had to learn how to not be as strict with what I want for the future so that I'm not disappointed. But if I can rely on like a feeling I'm wanting to cultivate, it feels a little bit different.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I've been really pounding on is just I have become way more audacious with my goals and my plans. Like, I'm really going after my dreams this year. And so because I'm like, life, if I keep on trying the same things that I've been doing, like, trying to just have some success in real estate, which I'm still trying, I'm doing my best in that, but it's like, no, I want to level up from that. I want that to be a means to an end in the temporary, so that it can fuel like all the things that I really want to go after. So anyway, all that to say, so every single day I know that I have to dial in my mindset so that I could be in a place to do my best with the creative things that I'm pursuing. And so, because like I've shared on this, that I'm pursuing comedy now. And for the last couple of years, I was in such a depressed state that I would allow those depressed feelings to sort of like hinder any sort of like creative
confidence in that direction.
Yeah. And so, but now I'm like, okay, no, it's unacceptable. I have to get my mind to a place where I can like really plant seeds every single day and grind every single day in the things that I want, because I'm going to be so thankful in 1 or 2 years from today that, gosh, I really like just, stuck it out and like just did my best and fought through those feelings.
I wonder too if, like fought through, like, I met them, even if they were uncomfortable.
Yeah, I sat with them.
Right, I sat with them. Okay, and then because it's so much of it is like meeting that part with compassion, and that isn't really
fight is the wrong word. Yeah,
that comes naturally. But I understood what you were saying. It still is it's like a fight in being consistent showing up for yourself, consistently being there and redirecting or giving a gentle, compassionate reframe for the moment. Yeah.
Well, and I guess what you said is exactly correct, because when
we fight with love.
Well, when the feelings do come and they flood, it's not a fight. I don't flail and really like fight and claw. It's more like good morning, anxiety. Like, what are you trying to tell me? And then I speak back to it now.
Oh, I love that. And so what are you learning in that space?
I actually don't wake up as often at 4 a.m.
Okay.
With the anxiety. I think it's because of this. But when it comes anytime in the middle of the day, I say, okay, like, I hear you, anxiety. Like, I know that there's this like fight or flight feeling coming of all the fears of what could potentially come. But we don't know the future. Things could turn today or tomorrow. Things could start to improve, and I'm doing all the actions in my power to give myself the best chance that things are going to start improving. And so if they don't, then like I said, I'm going to hope that it will. But if it doesn't, then I guess I'll just deal with it.
Well, I wonder, I love the train of thought you're on, and I wonder if I can just like layer in another piece in saying, like, if it doesn't work, it's just an indication that something else needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
It's not an indication of failure. And like, we've all had those moments where there's things that I've tried and I thought, here's this idea, and like people didn't show up for it. And I could have taken that as like, boy, I'm really bad at this and no one's going to want this service or whatever it may be. at the time, the thing that I'm thinking of in this story is I was doing like social skills classes for kids, and it was also just more work than what I was getting out of it. It was just time intensive. So anyways, I could have felt like, oh, here I did, wasted a bunch of time and energy, didn't get paid my worth. You know, I enjoyed it, but it was also exhausting because I wasn't refueling myself or taking into account the time that I had available. And all of that forcing could have left me really disappointed. Or maybe it's like, oh, I need to learn a few things about like my energy level if I'm putting effort into something like this. Or I learned a little bit about what I don't like and might want to tweak. And I think if you can take those moments of adversity as an opportunity to think about, well, what did I learn here? What could I do differently? Or how is this maybe teaching me to take better care of myself? We can be a lot kinder instead of this perfectionist, like, oh, I should have just gotten it right. It should have just gone well. And so that's a reflection of me not being good enough.
Yeah.
So yeah. And just like, what is the lesson? Because what works for you might ebb and flow and change. And that doesn't mean that you took a wrong path.
Yeah.
It's just, I think a healthy mindset, and it's something I am still really having to practice and redirect myself on, but an acceptance for the past, even those cringy moments, because we all have them.
Yeah.
And an acceptance for the future and where it might take you, and a trust just for this present moment. In this present moment, I have a support system and tools to navigate what is to come, and just feeling more present right here than being caught up in worries of things that haven't happened or that you have no control in fixing in the past.
Yeah. Being present. And then like the last episode where we talked about stillness, and I hadn't really ever unpacked that before, like the idea of like not turning away, and just allowing, I guess, the like pain to run its course.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that's a piece of what I'm feeling too, and maybe why this episode about burnout is coming up, where like there's a different sensitivity that I'm noticing in things that once felt like they fit, no longer fit, and it's been frustrating, where you're like trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole, like, hello, like this has always worked, this like pace of life, or this this system, and I'm having to recognize, oh, that's because you just have revealed kind of a new layer of what is no longer you. You have changed and evolved, and maybe what you're needing is changing and evolving. So this, maybe listen to your intuition instead of feeling like, oh, I'm not able to keep up with the pace I once had or the goal that I had. I'm much more flexible now in my goal, because when there's those moments of it feeling too forced, it's like, oh, let me actually sit with that discomfort and figure out why it feels that way.
For
Maybe
sure.
I can approach it differently.
Yeah. And I'll just mention, I haven't had any alcohol since the middle of December. So it's
Congratulations.
Thank
You lived
you.
through the holidays.
Yeah. And so it's really forced me to not escape.
Yeah.
But like now I feel like way more level. And I mean, it's funny because when you force yourself to feel all the feelings and process all of them, then you start to have like these like patterned responses, and like you become like systematically resilient. It's like, okay, like I said, like, good morning, anxiety. Like, here's how we're going to deal with you today. Oh, good morning, triggered response to this situation. And like, it's because like with alcohol, it would mess me up for a couple days after I would drink, to where like those heavy feelings would come, and I don't have the energy. I don't have the like brain chemistry to deal with this. So I'm just going to like feel sorry for myself.
Yeah, so you can really notice like that depressant effect that alcohol has, especially like afterwards, right? Yeah. So I think that's a really important thing for you to notice about your like biology.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you're noticing things differently.
Yeah.
And, like you can process through it differently, it sounds like.
Right. So to celebrate that, we're going to get wasted.
Oh my gosh, dear no.
Is that a bad idea? Okay.
It's like 11 a.m. Oh my gosh.
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Not happening. Yeah, we can be so conditioned to that sensation of burnout and numbing and that constant routine of just surviving.
Yeah.
And that to me is what I would say burnout is. I think so many people are just already used to it. So to define it a little bit more, it would be fatigue, cynicism, reduced performance, feelings of ineffectiveness, lack of accomplishment. There might be some sleep issues in the mix or loss of interest in certain activities. So this would be a consistent high-level stress sensation, somewhat different than presenting symptoms of depression, but can certainly turn into depression if left unchecked. And so my concern is just that there's so many people working in those environments, and I don't think that is how humans are conditioned to be. And there are some, not that you don't have to be hardworking, but also there's a balance in just what you're needing. And at some point, those tools of just pushing yourself, like run out of steam and no longer work.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm noticing with some of my clients who are they're so used to feeling as though they have to force themselves through, and it's not working in the same way. And they're noticing like issues with their body, and I can resonate with that. I'm not sure if you're someone where stress shows up in your body, but that is definitely a cue for me.
Yeah.
Like whether it's getting more headaches or not getting great sleep, or at times, one time it was like a rash I broke out into, like my body will let me know.
Yeah. No, it does. I guess I couldn't. When I feel stressed, I breathe shallow. I have a friend who was doing that the other day, where she was like, "I can't catch my breath," and her shoulders, and I was like, "Relax, like try to breathe," And yeah, that is interesting. And actually, I was talking about this the other day, where I was chatting with a massage therapist, just asking her about it, and she said she loves collaborating with therapists because she can feel where they're carrying their stress. She can locate it in their body, and then when she collaborates with the therapist, and I don't know how she would do that, like as far as
I think it's just like energetically, or right, okay, or like she's feeling where their tension is, and and then she lets them know.
And I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah,
because maybe it's like something that somebody's been suppressing, and she is able to identify it and locate it, and then that helps them
because trauma is stored in our body.
Yeah.
So like if someone has been in a car accident and then something kind of reminds them of that, like maybe there's a fender bender, even they've just witnessed something that's similar, like they will feel sensations in their body that are similar. And when we feel trauma, when we're processing our emotions, we feel it in our body and we forget that. In fact, I think that's like a huge cue that I try to give clients when they're, when me just kind of feeling out. I know it's cliche, but like you do have to ask the question, how do you feel about that as a therapist?
Yeah.
So many people don't know. So many people are so disassociated from what they even feel that they can't even identify it. And these feelings are meant to be indicators of like how you can find a healthier path. And we simply suppress, ignore, and numb all the time.
Yeah.
So like there's these cultural factors that I'm mentioning, but then also right now there's in any time frame, but I think that the economy is hurting managers and businesses as well. So this might be even more so toxic workplace culture.
Yeah.
And I want to address some of that too, because that plays a huge role in burnout, especially if someone's also feeling some of these economic issues that are happening that are all adding pressure to everybody.
Yeah.
But excessive workload or unclear job expectations, not feeling like you're being recognized, and that can play a role if a supervisor is not in a good headspace too, and that makes such a big difference, just like helping to fill someone's bucket and recognize them. And inadequate resources, again, something that I think that a lot of companies and people like we're experiencing at home, but they're experiencing within the company, and then there's just everything is tight and it's more difficult to get things done. So there's more job insecurity, and that just lends to more frantic energy, more survival energy in the workplace. So for anyone who's experiencing those pieces, my heart is going out to you. And sometimes I really love doing career counseling with people. Sometimes it's having to like radically shift what you think that you need to pursue something that's actually healthy for you. Sometimes it's a mindset shift or viewing it as like, this is temporary. But, you know, staying in an unhealthy workplace that doesn't get better, that's something that I would caution you against. And things can change, but I know that that's just a huge thing that we don't really talk enough about. I think there's even sometimes shame around complaining about a workplace or feeling as though we can't, I don't know, there's things that we can't, quote unquote, handle at work. Yeah. But there's oftentimes really sometimes poor management or poor workplace culture, and that can so affect the energy that you come home with at the end of the day. I don't have a cookie cutter answer or solution to this problem. I think at this point it's an introduction and a conversation. I'm hoping that people can start asking themselves, like, is this a healthy place for me? Am I able to give back to the people that I love and care about? Do I feel like I'm contributing to something that makes my heart happy? And for some people, like just simply providing for their family is what makes their heart happy. And that's beautiful. That's an act of love and of service. For others, I think that there can be a deeper passion, and we can really tell ourselves that we are stuck, or we can ignore and even numb the stirring in our heart to want to do something different that's more connected or creatively aligned. And that ignoring is what I think oftentimes makes people feel really miserable and really resentful. Yeah. So I'm not saying you have to completely overhaul your life and change all of the things, but in a very kind and gentle way, maybe sit with whatever part of yourself might be experiencing dissatisfaction with work or feeling burnout from any source, and commune with that part and see what they're needing. Because I think sometimes it's just wanting to feel understood. And sometimes that part is really needing, like, I need some space. We need to create some space. Yeah. And allowing yourself permission to do so. I think I wasn't giving myself permission for a really long time and kind of holding a certain expectation. And it has felt really good to recognize, oh, I can take a deep breath. It doesn't have to look that way. So you might have to break up with the image of perfectionism or of, I don't know, what you have viewed as being a quote unquote good human, and settle for being a normal human who just can't withstand the weight and the pressure of everything right now. And if you're feeling that, then I'm hearing you and I'm cheering you on, but I'm also saying maybe it's okay to slow down. Yeah. Maybe it's okay to reevaluate. I want to find a poem for us to read while I'm digging around in my bag. Do you have any thoughts? Because you are in a phase of redirection.
Oh, do I have any thoughts? They're all political. I'm just kidding. No, I don't. I'm excited for your poem. I'm sitting here in anticipation. So hit me with the poetry.
Well, wait, did I read one called Keeping Up with the Joneses already? Did I? Okay, that would have been a good one for today, but it was good. Give me just a second. Okay. I have more poetry books, but I've just been so partial to Let Us Dance by Shalane Harkin, so we're getting more of that.
You know what's a really good poetry book is the One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Dr. Seuss. I made a bet in
my mind, and I kind of wish that I would have written it down somehow because I knew it was going to be Dr. Seuss. I knew it.
I'm so predictable on it. Okay, go ahead.
Advertisement for joy. This life wants you to be its walking advertisement for joy, to blare this message loud and proud and also with nuance. Filled with the fine print of peace and inner delight, and the subliminal messaging of acceptance and wholeness written into every moment. The lift of your smile, the way of your glance falls upon things. Whatever your heart rushes towards, your bravery is finally pursuing those things that have always called you, the wink in your soul. Oh, let life use you this way, to be its finest marking representative, to sway masses towards their hearts, It doesn't promise to pay, but I promise the job was made for you. I like this. I think the phrasing of it doesn't promise to pay scares people. And I think that I'm kind of in a reckless, rebellious pursuit of just doing what feels right, what feels called in my heart.
Same. I mean, like that poem totally resonates with me. And it's crazy because it's like when you're pursuing something that you love and that you feel like you've been called to do like for a long time, there's such a joy in the process. You're no longer, it's not like you're like, forcing yourself to love the process. You're just like, I'm so excited to be walking this path that whatever happens, I'm ready and receptive to the lessons. It reminds me, Bill Burr, he was sharing about how he was he was living with his girlfriend many years ago, and he would come home after like doing an open mic for comedy or whatever, or like some opening act. He would be an opening act when he was really pursuing his comedy dream. And he would come home and they were broke. He wasn't making any money, but he would come home super excited. Like, oh my gosh, I just said this one joke and it got such a laugh. And his girlfriend at the time said, I wish that I had what you had. And she said, because like, there's no guarantee of the thing you're pursuing. There's no return financially, but you're so happy. And I think back on that a lot because I'm like, that's what it's like to really go after the thing that you were made for. Like there's no guarantee of money.
And something else I'm realizing too is like there's sometimes in the back of my head that messaging of like, who do you think you are? And that's the voice that I associate with people who are on the sidelines and are afraid to do that.
Yeah, they're not in the arena.
They're not in the arena.
Yeah.
And there's been phases in my life when I wasn't in the arena. So it's like, that's okay. But their natural tendency is going to be to feel that way because they are so tied to the safety of or constraints that they've created, the attachments to whatever it is, the big house, the certain this or that, the idea that it needs to look this way, that I've already invested this much time, education, money, whatever the story it is that you're telling yourself. And so it looks foreign to them, this, wholehearted, reckless, rebellious pursuit of joy.
Well, it's because like they don't know your dreams. So the more you lean into it and like really go after it, then their voices are going to become quieter. And it's kind of like, because I had that same thing. I became the most like toxic naysayer in my own head by saying like, who do you think you are? But then recently I had this shift where I was saying, I deserve abundance. I'm worthy of abundance. I'm worthy of all the big things that are going to come. And so it's like when that starts happening, I mean, and I had this like weird cynical thought of the naysayers not in the arena on the sideline of like, oh, you don't believe in me now, but just wait and you're going to want to be my friend. But now it's kind of becoming like, I'm thinking less about them. But it was really me projecting all that. I don't know if anyone's paying attention. You know what I mean?
Right. And being attached to that can create misery.
Yeah. Right? I don't want to have a chip on my shoulder. I just want to do what I want to do. Yeah.
I really love that that's something that you're aware of and paying attention of, because I think it'll help you be happier and will help direct you to go in the right space. Yeah. And it's something I have to remind myself of too. Like there's hiccups and there's hard moments or there's criticism and if I'm being curious and being humble, like I have to trust that I'll know how to navigate that and really take that feedback appropriately or know when to stand my ground.
Yeah.
And kind of in that sense of like peace in this present moment, like, okay, I can feel peace in being able to navigate that. I don't need to know what's to come.
Yeah.
So thanks for being on the wild ride with me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And I hope that in whatever way, big or small, that this has inspired others to think about, in a radical way, what is it that you need to take better care of yourself or to reconnect with the part of you that says, this is what you're meant to do. This is your special spice for the world. This is the thing that makes you happy. So like lean in.
Yeah.
Lean in. Please like, subscribe, and comment. You can also check out our Therapist Reacts videos on YouTube. We will be taking a short hiatus from the podcast due to it being our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Woo! Happy anniversary, James.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Please join us again in 2 weeks where we will continue with a fresh new season of Delightfully Dysfunctional. And until then, we'll see you later. Check us out on YouTube. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.